Hey everyone, my name is Lindsay. Welcome to my channel. This is Lindsay Likes Lit, because you know, books and stuff. My name is Lindsay. I am an accountant. Can you call me an accountant? I am an auditor from Bakersfield, California. That is known as the armpit of California for those of you who are not from the great state. I really like books, and so I'm making a YouTube channel and I'm doing the Booktube Newbie tag. So let's get into it. That's what people always say. Let's get into it. The first question, why did you start this channel? I have no friends who read books. I might have friends who kind of read occasionally here and there. I definitely have friends who have read like the ACOTAR series and we have discussed it in length, but there's not a lot of people around me who read the books that I tend to read, which, you know, can be kind of dark literary fiction or really thinky woman books, or just, if you hear a cat, I'm sorry. I really started this channel because I want a platform where I can share what I'm reading with other people. I've noticed on Booktube, there's a lot of people like me. I'm hoping to share my books, interact with others who have similar reading to me, and just, what are we here for? We're here to talk about books. I'm here to talk about books. And that's why I started this channel. I also am really excited to kind of get more into the creative side of like video editing, graphic design. Hopefully that will improve for me with time. So this is kind of like a two-part thing. It's a creative endeavor, which I have been sorely lacking in my life. And it is really a chance for me to talk about something I love and already do on a daily basis with others. So it's kind of a win-win. What are some fun and unique things that you can bring to Booktube? I don't know. Am I fun and unique? Is it my personality? I'm not sure. I think I read interesting things and maybe sometimes I have hot takes. Maybe my takes are not very hot. They're more like lukewarm. We'll see with time. What fun and unique thing can I bring? I have a cat. His name is Jimmy. He might occasionally make a guest appearance. I'll put a picture of him over here. I'm still learning what side of the camera I'm on. But he is obsessed with me and has already interrupted this video several times. So he will likely make an appearance. Come for the books. Stay for the Jimmy. What are you most excited about for this new channel? I'm excited to talk about books. I'm excited to get into the comments with anyone who's also watching and figure out what books they're reading. I want recommendations. I want thoughts on things that I've read. I want discussion and community because that's really what I'm lacking in my regular life. You know, I finish a book, I close it, I think about it for a second, I go over to my boyfriend and say, hey, I finished the book. And he says, was it good? And I say, yeah. And that's kind of the extent. I'm not really into writing long form reviews of books. I'm not really on Bookstagram, but I do like to think out loud. So expect a lot of that on this channel. Why do you love reading? I love to escape. My regular life is pretty good, but pretty day-to-day, kind of boring, straightforward. I am a very empathetic person and I like to escape into the lives of others, even if it's just monologuing thoughts, like some of the books I read tend to be. I enjoy that. I like getting out of my head, which is sometimes too much for me to be in, and into the head of somebody else, you know, a character. I've always loved reading. When I was younger, I mean, I've read since I was in the womb. I've read since I was in the womb. So really it's been a lifelong thing. It's been a lifelong love affair. What book series got me into reading? Well, I did read, like I said, since the womb my entire life, but I would say the series that made me absolutely psychotic for reading was Twilight. It's always Twilight. Why is it always Twilight? Twilight, my family was going to Hawaii. We were in the airport. I saw a book that had a apple or whatever on the cover, and I said, huh, that looks interesting. You know, I should pick that up. So I picked that up, and I began an obsession where I read every single book at least 4 times, over and over and over again. I was obsessed. The music I listened to, I wanted to fit with the theme of Twilight. I thought about my perfect cast for all the Twilight movies when my friend told me in junior high, oh, they're gonna make a Twilight movie. Twilight was the start. That was the start. And then I read a lot of tweeny vampire series, and that was pretty much my entire young adulthood. Eventually, when I was about 17, I graduated to romance novels, which I would just read brazenly in the middle of math class at a Christian school. I went to a Christian school. So that was a choice. But it started with Twilight, and now we're here. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Some of my favorite booktubers are The Bar and the Bookcase. I will read anything he tells me to read. CJ reads because she just is a quirky, cool gal, and I feel like we have a lot in common. Is that presumptuous? Probably. Who else? Ariel Bissett, but she doesn't make book content, but her podcast, Books Unbound, is... I love Ariel. And what would I ask these booktubers? Be my friend. Tell me what books to read. That's more of a demand than a question. What would I ask? What book on my shelf that I've not yet read must I absolutely read? I feel like it's Bunny by Mona Awad, but that book is turning into a mashed potato for me. If you listen to the Books Unbound podcast, you will know what a mashed potato book is. That book for me is a mashed potato. What challenges will be the hardest to overcome with starting a booktube channel? My complete and total dislike of my own face on a screen. I don't like to look at myself at all. So editing myself and posting myself on the internet is gonna be really hard. I'm still questioning why I'm doing this. I'm just desperate for love and attention, really, truly. And I'm getting over my dislike of my own face to find connection. Vulnerability. That's what we're all about here. When did you start reading? As I mentioned previously, I started reading in the womb. My mom read a lot of books to me before I was even born, and then even more books to me after I was born, and basically it never stopped. I was a tiny book-obsessed human. I read all the time. I also gamed a lot as a child. Pajama Sam, Putt-Putt. I've always liked stories, you could say. But yeah, I started reading in the womb. And like I said, when I started Twilight, when I was, I think, 11, 12, 13? 7th grade? I don't know. When I was in the 7th grade and I read Twilight, that was the genesis of my obsession. From then on, I pretty much exclusively asked for Barnes & Noble gift cards for Christmas and birthdays and spent them within a day. Where do you read? Primarily in this beanbag over here. This is my reading beanbag. It was an expensive beanbag, but it's extremely large and poofy, and it is the most comfortable thing in the world to read in. I also read on my couch sometimes with my lumbar pillow because I'm an elderly woman and I need lumbar support. Pretty much in those 2 places. Sometimes I read, like, if I have an appointment and I'm in a waiting room. I'm trying to be better at reading at places like that rather than just being on my phone, because my phone is a time suck and the #1 enemy of me reading. What kinds of books do I like to read? Many books. Let me get a few. Okay, I read pretty much anything. I like horror. I like some science fiction. I like not so much thrillers unless they're kind of a literary thriller. But I love literary fiction. Hence the name of this channel, Lindsay Likes Lit. Subscribe, like, comment. I don't think I'm supposed to tell you to do that, but whatever. Some favorites. Real Life by Brendan Taylor. I think everyone loves this book. I just know that when I read this, it felt so poignant and I couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks, and it made me want to go be near academia, even though that's kind of not the point of the book. It just made me yearn for that kind of setting. I don't know. Just the way he writes is like... Daddy by Emma Cline. I actually read this recently. I really liked these stories. I like short stories. I've also read Brendan Taylor's short stories, and I really liked those too. Night Bitch. Night Bitch is an example of a book that I freaking loved. I don't think you're allowed to curse on YouTube. I flippin' loved it. Unhinged, which, by the way, I love an unhinged woman book. There is nothing better for me than an unhinged woman. Similarly, Milk Fed, one of the funnier books I've ever read in my life. I loved it so much. A book I read in college that took me forever to read. I feel like I read it before everyone was kind of crazy about it, or maybe I just wasn't aware that other people were reading it, but this book stuck in my mind for years. I need to reread it because I don't really remember a lot of details except for the impact it had on me, which was a big one. I'm 2 books into this series and I need to finish it, but this series has transported me to Italia. That was embarrassing. I will never speak with an accent again. This book, A Ghost in the Throat. I read this last year, around this time of year actually, I think like April 1st. I read it in a day. It is beautiful, poetic, woman-focused, and just one of the most gorgeous but random things I've ever read. If you like poetic woman stuff, read it. Boy Parts. It's not an unhinged woman favorite unless Boy Parts is included. This was unhinged. I felt like it could have been more unhinged, but I really did enjoy it. It was a very good book. I'm forgetting one. Mother Thing. Horror, literary, hilarious, really crazy and nuts. It just takes a turn. There is cannibalism in this book. I loved it. This never ends. This is the biggest section of this entire video. Convenience Store Woman. I just loved it. It was short. It was pleasant. It stuck with me. I read it last year, like on the same day that I read A Ghost in the Throat. I really like translated Japanese fiction. It's very like kind of dry, but almost funny in the way that it's dry. And I just love it. This woman just wanted to be who she was. She just wanted to be a convenience store woman. Let her be, dagnabbit. Okay, last 2, I promise. I won't take you through every book I've ever read in my entire life. These are just ones that I loved. I Who Have Never Known Men. To say I love this book is a thing to say. Mostly it made me so depressed, but I also loved it. It was beautiful and so sad and so frustrating, and you never figure out what happened. You never figure it out. I'm sorry to spoil it, but you don't. It's open-ended and beautiful. Lastly, The Life of the Mind by Christine Smallwood. It was great. Funny. I like being in this character's head. I would have stayed in this character's head for hundreds of more pages. Just the way she saw the world was very thinky, and I liked it. Dorothy is a very interesting character. Wow. That was a lot. That was like, I'm sweating. That was exercise. What am I reading right now? That's not a question. I'm just gonna tell you anyways because I can. I'm reading Birnam Wood. I will put the cover over here so you can see what it actually looks like. This is the hardcover. I pre-ordered this and I believe it's supposed to be a literary thriller out from FSG. I pretty much want anything that FSG makes, so. Birnam Wood. Well, I hope that kind of gives you a little intro to me. I realize I didn't say anything about myself. I'm gonna film that part and then put it in the beginning. You can hopefully, you know, come back to this channel and see what I have to upload. I'm just gonna be doing a lot of the regular Booktube stuff, monthly wrap-ups, TBRs. My cat picks my TBR. Jimmy doesn't have very good taste in books, but we'll see. He typically goes for whatever's the brightest cover, but that's fine. He's a cat, so it's to be expected. And I hope you come back and join me here in my little realm of books. And, you know, comment on this video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if any of my favorites are your favorites. If we have similar taste, tell me some things to read. I have a problem and I will buy very many books. I'm on a ban this month, so they'll have to wait for May. In May, it's my birthday and I'm gonna go hog wild. So tell me things that I should buy. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching this video. Hope I see you back. If I don't, that's okay too. Just thanks for watching. I'm from 2010. Bleh. Do I have horrible posture the entire time? Am I like this? I have a baby, I guess, and he cannot be alone.